What's going on, everybody? My name is Eric Greenstein with I'm sorry. Wow, I'm practicing my speak at the boot camp. Sorry. My name is Eric Greenstein with SoFlo Real Estate Investors. Um, Today we have a very special guest, mentor of mine, friend of mine, Steve Rozenberg. Thank you for coming on today. We appreciate your time, appreciate you joining us at an early time where you are right now. Uh, if you missed this, you can definitely find it at SoFloREI.com. I will be posting it on YouTube, so feel free to go ahead and see the episode. So I want to go ahead and dig, and we only have an hour, so I want to just get started. So Steve, uh, you have the floor. I just briefly introduce yourself and then get into how you got started and how you get to where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. First of all, everyone, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I'm a big believer in giving back and giving knowledge. So hopefully, you guys will all walk out of here with something a little bit more, and some knowledge and just thinking a little different. I've been in the real estate industry for over 20 years. My background started being an airline pilot, and 9/11 is actually what got me into the real estate world. And the thing that I've learned the most about real estate is, unfortunately, there's no rule book, right? I've learned a lot of lessons, and the one thing I've learned is there's no one way to do things, one way good or one way bad. And sometimes we can be the biggest inhibitor of our success, or our demise, right? We can be the reason that we fail. And unfortunately, what I have learned, and people can talk about it differently, is I don't think anyone cares. I don't think anyone cares if you fail or succeed at the end of the day. And unfortunately, there's no rule book, but there are people that succeed, and there's a recipe for that. And over the years, I've bought properties, sold properties, flipped, wholesaled houses, apartments, you name it, hundreds and hundreds of deals. And I built a management company. We built it from 0 properties up to 1,000 doors. And then we sold that whole company to a venture capital backed company. And I exited. I went all the way through selling, getting stock options, all that. And I learned a lot on the way. And while we had those 1,000 properties, I worked with a lot of different investors. And during that time frame, I watched what worked for people, and I also watched what didn't work for people. And I realized that there is a recipe, and the ones that are successful, they follow a recipe all the time. They're very diligent. They don't deviate. Well, they do. They may deviate a little bit, but the core principle of who they are is very, very simple. It's not, it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of being disciplined. It's like baking a cake, right? You don't put the frosting on it first and then put it in the oven. So it's the same way when it comes to being successful, whether it's real estate or anything. You learn that there's a recipe. And so over the years, just like I'm sure many of you have done things that you've been successful at, I've become very successful in real estate, that it has given me the lifestyle that I've always wanted. I can do what I want when I want, without worrying about money. But I still have a job. I tell right now I'm in Tel Aviv, Israel, flying a plane. So when I say a job, I fly for an airline. I fly a 787, but I do it because I want to do it. I love traveling. I love getting up at 2:30 in the morning to do a podcast show. But I love flying. So I don't do it because I need the paycheck. I do it because I love it. And that's something I've always wanted. And maybe that's something you want out of life, is to do something because you want to do it, not because you have to do it. And so what I've learned is 20 years ago, after 9/11, people ask me, what's the difference? Right, got COVID-19 and people getting airlines shutting down. And they'll ask me, they'll say, what's the difference between you today and you 20 years ago? And the difference is I said yes to doing something that was very scary. It was very unknown. And there was a lot of things that I didn't know the answers to. And I had to be okay making a lot of mistakes and being out there by myself trying to figure it out. And if I didn't do those things, and if I didn't say yes, I would still be an employee. I would still have a job. I would still be dependent on that job. And I would be no better today than I was 20 years ago if I didn't say yes to doing these scary things. So that's kind of in a nutshell of who I am, what I do. You guys can, obviously ask me anything you want to ask me. I'm an open book. But again, I would say the main thing is I was okay kind of bearing myself to make mistakes. And that to me was the difference of changing my life.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, that's amen to that. That's why I'm in real estate, right? I want to travel and do whatever I want, right? Lifestyle. That's why I'm in it. So, perfect. So we're gonna dive into the three questions that I have today. Of course, today what we're talking about is fear, right? Like common fear mistakes that in real estate investors, or if it's not in real estate, in general in life. So, Steve, I just want to open up with the first question. Is it normal to have fear when purchasing a property?
I think everything has fear.
You lose them.
Cocky and you're not looking at the possible detractors. So I think fear is something, excuse me, I think fear is realistic, and I think fear needs to be controlled. I don't think, I think a lot of people think they need to not be afraid. I don't agree with that. I think it's a positive negative, and I think it needs to be in equal parts, and it's got to be scaled correctly. And I think fear keeps you in control, right? It's kind of like going down a hill really fast on a bicycle. There's that fear, right? That pit of your stomach feeling. And so I think every time that you do a transaction or you do something, there's always going to be fear. But the question is that fear made up in your mind and you're going to worst case scenario? Or is there actually something that's telling you there's a problem? Because fear can be a great indicator that there's a problem and there's something. Then maybe, I'm sure we've all done this, whether it's in real estate or anything, that we chose to ignore what that fear was telling us or what that concern was. And then look, we all have done that where something happens and you're like, fuck, I knew it. I knew it. I knew there was something, but we didn't act on it. So I think that fear it's a great tool and it's a great metric. I think the problem is 70% of our thoughts that go through our head are negative. So we have 1,500 words a minute that get processed through our subconscious brain. 70% of those are negative. So for us to think of worst case scenario or think of negativity is normal. That's why we like watching the news, is because it's selling on fear. Fear sells because we, in our subconscious, we're always thinking fear. So I don't think that we want to ever not have fear, because that's dangerous, but I do think it's got to be controlled, and really ask yourself, is something being told to me that I need to look at, or am I just letting negative self-talk drive my decision making?
Awesome, 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 awesome. So and let's go into the second question, third, and then we'll open up for Q&A. What are some of the common real estate fears, and how can we overcome them?
Well, it's funny. I after doing this a long time, right? I talked to a lot of people, and I would say that when I talk to people, I'm a big person on setting goals, creating that strategy. For those of you that are going to come to the boot camp, you'll see that I talk a lot about that, right? And having the team around you. And it almost sounds like second nature when I say it. But I think that people think that that's just easy for me, like it just comes easily for me. And what I tell people is, a lot of people, they say, like, you know what, I don't even know where I'm going to be in 20, 30 years, like this goal idea. I have no idea. So I'm not even going to start, because I don't even know what that looks like. So a lot of people I talk to, and I had a couple people actually talk to me about it this weekend, because I talked about it so much at the boot camp, and I'll be talking about it in Florida, was we started talking about goals and strategies and how to achieve that. And they're like, I just can't picture that. I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. And they're like, I just can't picture that 30-year mark. So I failed to start. So I said, well, let me ask you this. What if you just backed it up and said, what do I want to be next year? Like, let's just do simple. 6 months from now, where do you want to be? I'm like, you have to be okay with changing course. Maybe you have a 1-year goal, maybe you have a 3-year goal. And so what happens is, a lot of times we don't even do anything, because we let fear and we let the inaction stop us from ever doing anything. And the biggest challenge we have is, a lot of people, and of the people here, I'm just curious, when you are going to do a deal, who here is actually afraid of making a mistake? Like, you don't want to make a mistake. Raise your hand if you don't want to make a mistake. Okay. So I think all of us are afraid of making a mistake. But the challenge is, okay, so of the people that did that, raise your hand if you've ever learned to ride a bicycle. You ever learned to ride a bicycle? Okay. Did you get on that bike and immediately just take off and start doing jumps and flips and just being this rock star? Or did you maybe fall down? Like, you had to have training wheels and maybe you fell down, right? But isn't that technically failing, right? If you quit, then you are a failure. And so the challenge is that when we start talking about doing a deal in money, money is what it is. We tie money to our knowledge, ego, and expertise. So we don't want to look, we think if we lose money, right? And I was this way, I'll be honest. I thought that if I lost money on a deal, I was dumb. Like, how could I lose money? Real estate, you make money, right? It's always talking about making money, making money. And so I thought to myself, man, I can't lose money on a deal. If I lose money, I'm dumb, because I graded my financial success on my education level. But if you think about riding a bike, we all failed riding a bike. Anything that you do, if you go up to golf, right, and you go to tee off and you've never golfed before, what are the odds that you're going to smack that thing 300 plus yards? Probably not, right? Think of anything you've ever done. You have probably failed at. Now, you want to fail small, fail small, fail small, and learn the lessons. But for some reason, when it comes to real estate and it comes to money, that's where we do not want to fail. So we actually make the ultimate failure by not doing anything. And the ultimate failure is the lack of starting. Because one thing I will tell you is, and you should all write this down, money is a renewable source. Okay. Everyone here will make more money, right? We all have been on budgets and busted our budgets, went over budget on a job, on a bid, on a personal accounting. We went over our budget. And what did we do? Next month, we said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to reset and I'm going to get back on budget, right? That's all you do. Same thing with eating on a diet, right? You overeat your diet and you're like, fuck, okay, next month, I'm back on my diet, right? So think about that. We all have that. Money is a renewable source. Time, time is not. We're not going to get back. We get gifted 86,400 seconds every day. You don't get to carry those 86,400 seconds over to tomorrow. You don't get to take anything with you. The only thing you can take is the knowledge that you gained during that day. And so what I have learned from this is, if I go back to 20, I go back to my personal story, and everybody has one. But if I go back to my personal story and I say 20 years ago, if I did not take action and I was not okay failing, I would have lost that 20 years. And sadly, I know people that were my, you know, coworkers, didn't do anything then. They went all the way through. 20 years later, they're still scared of their jobs. They're petrified that the company's going to shut down. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you do anything? I thought it'd be okay, right? And so think about that. You won't get time back. And so you have to ask yourself, what can you do to use that time best possible? And so the biggest challenge is, again, I go back to not doing anything. People don't want to do anything because they're afraid to lose money. But look, we all know that we're going to spend money on stupid shit, right? We're all going to spend money on things that we don't need, right? And that's okay. But when you do it on something you're trying to invest in and you're trying to learn and you're trying to be better, that's where we draw the line. I mean, think about that. We're trying to buy real estate to be better. We know deep down that real estate will make our lives better. We see it. We see people that have this amazing life, but yet we don't take the steps because we don't want to look dumb. So I don't know if that answers it. That's a roundabout way, but that's the biggest reason I think that people don't do it. They want all the lights to be green before they leave the house. And then they're like, fuck it, real estate doesn't work. I don't have time. I'll just work my 9 to 5 and make more money. It's like, you can, but again, the one thing you're not going to have is time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And kind of, I the first property I purchased was 2.5 hours away from me, and yeah, that didn't really work out too well. But I didn't know anything about multifamily. I just bought a single family home, did a little Airbnb, VRBO. Made a bunch of mistakes, but I learned from it. But when I purchased that property, I can tell you that I was shit in my pants, right? Because you know, my account went from this point to almost like, you know, zero. So, you know, it's scary, you know, and you just
Sure.
gotta get over it. You just gotta get that first property under your belt, and whatever happens, happens, and just keep going. But you know, when I started listening to Bigger Pockets, I heard about multifamily, and that's where I am today, right? So it's just learning and listening and gaining knowledge and just moving forward, you know.
And look, if you talk to anybody who's a real estate investor, entrepreneur, anything in life, Bobby came from the Silicon Valley area. Any of these guys that are successful, every single one of them has one thing in common. They all failed, and most of them have failed pretty big, right? And they're just like, no big deal. Like one of my mentors, I'm a big believer in being coached and being trained, because I don't think you magically get this mindset, right? It's like, Michael Jordan, right? I use him as an example a lot. I think he was the best player in the history of the game, right? He also practiced 8 hours a day, every single day, for a 2 hour game, but he had 5 coaches. So you got to ask yourself, was he the best he could be because he was coached, or did he have natural ability? Well, he got cut from his high school basketball team. So then you got to go, okay, he had the ability, but who brought that out of him? You can't just assume that you're going to do it on your own. I mean, that's why these events like what you're doing here, Eric, is so good, because people learn, right? And so you really got to ask yourself, you've got to train yourself to be successful. It doesn't just happen. A lot of people think like on commercial, on the weekends, by chance, by accident, you're going to fall ass backwards into a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, and it's just going to happen, and you're never going to lose any money. If you talk to anybody who's been successful, they're going to be like, you are fucking dreaming. It ain't going to happen. And so when that doesn't happen, that's when our ego kicks in, and we don't want to look dumb, because that's how we gauge our success, is by our pocketbook. The one thing I'll say though is that, you know, a lot of people think, and they have the perception, and I did too, to a degree, and I'm curious if anyone else does, that when you get to a certain amount of money that you make, whether it's money in a job or money that you have in real estate, or a certain amount of doors that you own, we think that that is the definition of happiness. Like we think that's the lifestyle we want to have, right? And what happens is, sadly, when you get to that point, you realize it's not there. Like there's nothing there. And so like I asked someone today, I said, if you own 10,000 shares of Apple stock, would that all of a sudden make your life better? Like, would you all of a sudden have this amazing life because you have, 10 or 100,000 shares of Apple? No, it may give you some safety and security, but it's not going to change your life. So to assume that you're going to break through this glass ceiling and like, oh, when I get one property, when I get 5 properties, when I get 10 properties, a certain decimal or comma in your bank account, or a certain amount of properties that you own, it doesn't give you the happiness that you're thinking. You will be sadly mistaken when you reach that point, because you have to change who you are, and it's a journey that you're on as you're becoming successful. So the person you are at 0 properties is going to be a much different person you are at 50, 100, 500. You are changing along the way, and if you don't change, you will never get to that next level. So I always tell people, whoever you are today, the person you are right now today, is not going to get you to the next level if you don't do something to change your life. And the sad thing is, like I said in the beginning, nobody cares. Nobody cares if you get to those 50 doors, 100 doors, but you need to know why you're doing it. Just to have 50 or 100 doors is not going to give you happiness. It's not going to give you what you want. And again, a lot of people, they actually get more, I don't want to say miserable, but more sad, because they never actually accomplished what they wanted to, because they don't know how to define that happiness. Don't know where that came from. I just thought I'd say it. So there you go. This is a freebie.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, so we're really move on to the third and final question. Can you just go over how you overcame fear, and maybe just go over like a deal when that happened, a deal that you've done previously that kind of sparked, and
Yeah. Overcoming fear is something that I think you have to do daily, right? I think let me just say this. I think every day we are the product. Every single day we are the product of who we are, and we make a choice every single day. So when you wake up in the morning, you have a decision to make. Am I going to be better than I was yesterday, or am I going to be worse? And you get to make that choice. And you're never the same. We think that, oh, I'll just be the same. Well, when you're the same, you're actually worse. And so you have to make that decision every day to be better. And that has to be a conscious effort, right? It doesn't by chance. You're not going to by chance be a better person, be more successful just by luck. It just doesn't happen, right? Or it doesn't happen over long term. So, to overcome fear, like I said, when you do a deal, when I've done deals before, my first deal was like you, Eric, I was much more nervous on my first deal. And as deals got on, I didn't even think twice about it. Now, that's also dangerous because then I start getting sloppy and then I start getting lazy. And that's also when you can get hurt. So fear has a way of gripping you and almost crippling you, but it also has a way of motivating you. It just depends on how you use it. And so the fact that you have that fear is definitely good. And I can even take it, I'm a big believer that, when you own real estate, you own a business. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're a realtor. I don't care if you own a property management company. I don't care if you're General Motors or United Airlines. It's a business. You own one property or you own 50 properties, you own a business. If you don't treat it like a business, it will fail. There's no doubt about it. And you have to remember that, you don't get second chances in business. Nobody cares if you succeed or not. And I say that a lot because I've been on that side. And one of the things I've learned from one of my mentors is I asked him, I said, what's your, quote unquote recipe for success? And he said, there's two things you need to learn. He said, number one, say no often. And number two, fail fast, fail often, and learn the lesson. And he said, you're going to get knocked down many, many times in this world. He said, the speed at which you get back up and get back at it will determine your success. And, that there's a lot of meanings in what he said, right? He said it very quickly and he was very, very successful entrepreneur. But when you think about that, I mean, really break that down, right? What is he saying? Well, he's saying, you're going to get knocked down, right? I think we all know that we're going to get knocked down in this business, right? It's nothing personal. The question is how quickly do you, get back up and get back at it, right? That's really the key. And let's talk about saying no, right? The problem is, entrepreneurs today, especially real estate investors, as I see them, we think that we need to put everything on our plate because of social media and immediate gratification. A lot of people want to put everything on our plates, and then we want to slowly take off what we don't want to do. So it's like, I got a BRRRR, I got a house hack, I got short-term rental, I got syndications, I got money lending. I've learned it's the other way. So the people that are very successful have a clean slate and they put one thing on their plate and they master that one thing. They become a master of it. They know it inside out, upside down. And then, and only then, will they put one more thing on their plate. And then they master that thing. And what happens is as you do that and you become a master, that fear starts getting pushed aside because it's controllable and it's manageable. And all these what ifs that you think could happen, you realize that mathematically, logically, they don't normally happen. I mean, who here has done something, and Eric, I'll use you. When you bought your first deal, right? When you bought that first deal, how many bad things went through your mind before you closed on that property? Like, what would you say? I mean, how badly did you have fear of worst case scenarios as you were leading up to it?
I mean, I would say probably around 10, 20 fears that I had of it being vacant, right? The most was vacancy, right? Like how many days is this going to be vacant per month? Um, I'm just 2.5 hours away, right? So if something happened, I would have to drive over there. I did have a cleaner, but she only cleaned. Like it wasn't like she wasn't like my manager. So I was also self managing from that far. So a lot of fears every day, even when a guest was there, right? I've had things happen during like a leak happened in the roof, right? So it's like how are you going to do that from afar? But you get it done. You call people. You learn from it. You get it done. But yeah, I mean, a lot of fears. So
Okay, so of all those fears and all these worst case world ending scenarios that you had in your mind, how many actually happened?
like very little.
Very little.
Yeah.
And any issues that arose, you just kind of dealt with it, right?
Yep.
Like if I were to tell you, Eric, you're going to drive in Miami, okay? And here's what's going to happen. You're going to have people trying to hit you. You're going to have traffic. It's going to be stop and go. You're going to be on the gas. If I explained that to you, you'd be like, I'm not fucking driving in Miami. Like, no way, this is not happening, right?
Yeah.
But when you're doing it, you just deal with it, right? You just deal with it as it goes. And it's not as bad as if I were to talk you through everything. Like when all of us are doing a real estate transaction, and if I were to talk you through all the things that could go wrong in that transaction, you'd be like, I'm not doing this. Like, this is crazy. But if I just said, hey, you know what, just do the deal. And again, people that I've coached, when they buy the deal, I always make them go back and look at the transaction. And before they buy the deal, I tell them, I go, okay, I want you to write down all the fears that you have. Just write them down. Whether they're real or not, whether they're actually, legitimate, doesn't matter. Write them down. So they write them down, right? I mean, I had one guy, he had 10 pages of shit. I'm like, are you shit? Like, holy crap. But anyways, so he had 10 pages. I said, okay, after the deal was done and we got the property rented, right? So now it's producing income. It's an income producing business. I said, I want you to go back into that page and I want you to highlight all the things that actually did happen. There was like 2 things out of 10 pages that actually happened. And they were like inconsequential, but they were on the list. So they were on the list. So again, we do that to ourselves. And what happens over time, maybe the next time he'll have 7 pages. And maybe the next time he'll have 5 pages. And maybe the next time it'll be 1 page of legitimate stuff that actually has happened based on information and stuff like this, And so again, just kind of circling back to your question, that's what happens a lot of times is, we go down this toilet bowl spiral of thinking worst case scenarios, and they never happen. They never happen. And if they do happen, big deal. Fail, get back up and get back at it. And the quicker that you can do that, and the quicker that you can remove your ego, that's why I say nobody cares. Because if you can think about it that way, that nobody cares, you have to care more than anyone else, right? So you have to be the one that actually cares more than anyone else does. And once you do that, you will realize you are going to be much, much more successful than never, ever attempting the deal.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, that's definitely, that's what I went through. That's what I went through. And, yeah, now I'm a little bit better about, thinking or overthinking, right? Every day, I think you actually, you helped me. I believe I was having trouble hiring. Right? Remember that? I just hired 2 people, 2 amazing new teammates to the team, and I actually used the disc profiling before they are hired. I gave them the test that you supplied us, and I said, take these 24 questions, and then we'll go over and see if it's a match. Basically, that's what I was said. So both of these guys were perfect, and hired them, and now they're on the way to hopefully being really good technicians, and a lot of the responsibilities will be off my plate, and all good. But yeah, man, again, I thank you for today. Thank you for being on here again at 3:30, or I'm sorry, 3:15 now, right? But I wanted to open up the floor for any questions. You have any questions for Steve? Anyone? I know you did ask Steve about where's everyone from. I know Eddie was just joined. So Eddie, you want to go over where you're from and what you do, investment wise?
Yeah, sure. So Eddie Colson, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. Primarily for I've been doing real estate for about 11 years. Started wholesaling early on. That's like my jam for a while. And then after that, I started getting into creative financing, buying rental properties. I'm looking into apartment complexes as well. And so, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Are we getting to the questions or?
Go for it.
Cool. Yeah, awesome. So in my wholesale business, I do a lot of cold calling, right? A lot of cold calling, skip trace and everything. Have a pretty solid system on getting the leads coming in. The only thing is like I have cold callers and they're based on like commission, and the turnaround on them is like I'm always having to hire a new cold caller. And it's people that do good, they do good, they close a deal or two, and they kind of like just fall off. So I started going after, I went on, I will go on Indeed, post a ad on Indeed, description and everything, do an interview, ask them some questions, test their ability to like respond, rebuttals and whatnot, and get them on, and they do good, but then they fall off. So trying to see if you can help me figure out what I'm doing wrong.
Well, I think one of the things is a lot of times when it comes, and I'll put on my hat as a business owner, good employees are not hired, they're bred. You have to create them. So a lot of times we think I'm going to hire an employee and they're going to do a good job. It doesn't work that way. Normally, if you have high turnover, and don't take this the wrong way, but normally ties back to bad leadership. So my question to you as a leader, right? It's your business. Your job is to inspire, show them the vision, and get them invigorated to want to come to work. Now you may go, they're just fucking making calls, right? They're not into that. I disagree in the sense that people go to work for a purpose because they think they're making a difference. Not everyone goes to work for a paycheck. So the question is I would want to know what is happening from the time they hire to the time they leave. What is making them want to leave? I mean, even McDonald's has lifetime employees. So you can't say it's the money, you can't say it's position. My thing is they are not inspired by what they're doing, and that's a leadership problem. So I would challenge you to go back to them and ask them, like, what do you want in real estate? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to know real estate? If they say yes, I would put them on a career ladder path to get them. Maybe you say, hey, look, if we do a deal, would you want to do a deal with me? Would you be interested in partnering with me? You get them inspired to want to go to work. And so just them going to work for paycheck, that's, again, how much time are you wasting churning through people? Now, it also has to do with the tools and the training. I don't know what kind of training you give them, and how much recurrent training you give them. If it were me and my money relied on them being able to do it, I would be doing daily script classes. I would be doing video recordings of how I want them to talk. I would give them written scripts of exactly what I want them to say. I would do training classes with them. I would listen to the audios with them, show them how to be better, and also show them their vision. So a lot of times when you hire someone, you're telling them what you want. I want you to do this, I want you to do this, I want you to that. That's what's called a closed loop conversation. You need to open the loop and use the words we. We're going to do this. We're going to make this happen. And because you want to ask them, like, what do they want? Maybe they want to learn real estate and they thought that you were going to teach them, and they're going, he's busy, so I'm going to punch out. But if you gave them some inspiration and you let them know, like, look, this is the career path for you. If you do this for 6 months, I can get you doing this, and then I can get you doing this. But you got to ask them what they want first. I'm just curious. Do you ask them what do they want, and do you try to put them on a career path?
I do. My goal really was to really ask people who weren't really interested in real estate, honestly. And what I ended up doing a lot of times is people that were in the mastermind, or somebody that because I also coach wholesaling. So sometimes some of them ended up coming and they end up closing deals for me. It was like, hey, you can learn, and they end up being the ones that end up closing a lot of the deals. But like my actual like people that I'm trying to hire and stay on are not, and I was more so trying to find people who have no interest in real estate. And just
congratulations. It sounds like you found them.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I need to like mainly focus on people who actually want to invest in real estate. But in my mind, I'm thinking maybe that's a conflict of interest,
I think that's a constricting mindset there's enough deals for everyone. How many deals could they bring you if they were part of your team and you're like you were getting a piece of every deal instead of, what you want to do is you want to get out of the mindset of being the doer and get into the mindset of leveraging other people. Real estate, the great thing about real estate is leverage, right? You can leverage people, money, time, assets, right? If you're doing everything yourself and you're like, I don't want them to get the deals because then there's not enough deals for all of us. I mean, let's be realistic. Is that really the case?
Well,
right?
That's not necessarily what I'm saying as far, because I'm already doing that now with the people that I'm working with. It was just more so of having a more controlled environment with somebody that's that works for me, and have the mindset of just making calls, as opposed to somebody that's like they're doing their deals as well, and we're all partnering together.
No,
I just feel like
yeah.
I feel like that's not a way I don't think that's security in my business, with wholesaling.
Well, I think it's a matter of, I guess, let me ask you this. How often are you training them? What kind of training system do you have, or do you have one where you're actually training them with a concurrent training system where they're always training? And do you sit down and ask them like, hey, what are your goals? What do you want? Like, how can I get you what you want? So when I was saying earlier about the closed loop, open loop, a lot of times it's like, look, this is what I need. I need you to do this. I need you that. I need you that. But a lot of times if we turn it around and be like, okay, what do you want? Like, how do I get you where you want to go? Well, I get there too. Like, look, I know what I need. I need so many calls. And then do you run your business on KPIs and metrics? Meaning, do you run it with, this how many calls we're in, this how many, and do you go over them with the employee?
Yeah. So originally I was not. I mean, I was using the KPIs, but what I just kind of started doing and it's been working very well actually the last few 2 months. Is every day we Monday through Friday we have a sales call at 9 a.m. in the morning. That's like the mandatory thing. Like we got to at least get on the call. We go over the KPIs. I have that in Podio where they make a certain amount of calls and we see what contracts has got on the contract, and we go over, and that's been doing very well for me since I started implementing that. But I just I'm just looking for ways to be better, and
yeah. One thing I would suggest, and this is what I did when I had my company, is I would suggest doing script classes with them, like role playing, and doing them, if not daily, every other day. But then I would also, what I recommend is, if you were to tell them, hey, I need you to give me 3 times a week 3 things that you could not answer, 3 things that you didn't know the answer to, or you need a better answer to. And then what you do is create a video of you saying it and saying what you want the outcome to be. And what you're doing is you're creating a video frequently asked question database library. So if that person ever punches out, you don't have to go back and retrain that new person with all the shit that you just went over for the last year. So if you created a FAQ library, like I did this with my company, I had over 500 videos in 1 quarter I created. And I said every week each department had to give me 3 things that they didn't know how to answer. And they would give it to me, and then I would make a video. I said, what do you want the outcome to be? And they would tell me, and then I would put it the way I would spin it. And that was my video. And then each department had videos. So if we ever had to fire them or get rid of them or they left, we had to hire a new person. We're like, here's all your frequently asked questions. If one's not in there, let me know and I'll make you a new one. But that's how, and again, I would just really think about it from their perspective of as it's not employee employer. I would really want to know, what do they want and how do I help them get there? Because if you can help them, you'd be amazed at what they will do for you.
Yeah. Great feedback. I appreciate it, Stephen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Any other questions? Okay.
Chase looks like he has a question. What you got, Chase? I'm sure you got something stewing in that head. You got that cool shirt on. Come on, man.
Wait. It's not as tight as ours though, Steve.
It's not as tight. Yes.
No,
you got to put it in cold water.
See, yeah. Bobby, look, man, I got the tight shirt going on now.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you're muted, Chase. Muted again.
Oh, did I
No, it's the phone.
Man, I'm in.
There you
Can you
are.
hear me?
All right. Yep.
Sorry about that. So I got a wife and kid running around making a whole bunch of noise, so I was trying not to disrupt the group here. But no, I was listening to what you were saying earlier before everybody hopped on about shopping with your kid. And I was thinking that the other day I was in the store with my daughter, and I'm like, she's 8, and she's going into the I think we're at Macy's or something. She's going in to try on clothes, and I'm like standing outside of the women's dressing room. I'm like, what? I'm like a creep, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, my daughter's in there, don't you know?
Yeah. I swear to God, I swear
Grown
she's
men are looking at me all weird. Yeah. So
Sure.
no, yeah. But no, that was some great feedback, because I'm struggling with a lot of similar things in my business too, as far as hiring, keeping good employees. The construction industry is, it's great right now, but if you can't manage your labor and material, then your profit margins are out the window. So it's all, it's difficult there. And the multiple businesses that I really tie in the brokerage, the construction, and the investing all together to maybe 3 separate arms, or 2 arms and a leg that all feed each other. And so
yeah, when it comes to business, I'm a big believer, and I actually coach a lot of business owners. And the thing about a business, just like real estate, just like Eddie with this wholesaling company, is if you can't walk away from your business for a day, a week, maybe a month, maybe 3 months or 6 months, and have it operate on its own without you and be bigger than when you left it, you don't own a business, you own a job.
exactly
And
right.
a business is a commercial profitable enterprise that runs without you and has a sale date attached to it. Now, what that means, obviously, commercial profitable enterprise is pretty standard. Running without you, we get. The reason it has to have a sale date is not because you want to sell it. It's because in order for it to be a saleable asset, it has to be completely operating without any of your interference. And normally we are the reason why it is not a business. It's normally self-inflicted. And I talk to a lot of people about this. And my goal whenever I work with businesses is I coach them to turn it into an operating business that runs without them through policies, procedures, structure. And I work with people like Eddie that have wholesale. Anything can be automated and systemized. I'm a big believer in systemize it, automate it, and outsource it. And everything can be. Normally, we are the problem. It's our ego or pride or our lack of knowledge of what we can actually outsource or automate. And once you do that, the biggest key to success that I've seen with people is take that revenue and go buy assets, go create generational wealth with the fountain of the money. So a lot of people think they're going to do this and then go to that. I don't think that's the way to do it. If you can make it run without you and you can automate it and systematize it to where you don't need to be involved, and now it's just operating, that is the key, because that's the golden goose that will buy your assets and that will give you the life. That is, having a business will make you rich. Buying real estate will make you wealthy. I teach you how to take that richness and buy wealth with it, because that to me is the ultimate dream of what we want. And a lot of times, as you have a business, you're this, you're that, you're blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, I'm making a lot of money, but I'm fucking busy. Like, I'm just busier than I've ever been in my life. So is that really what you want? You're making money, but is that what you want? And normally it's no, it's not. It's learning out how to automate and systemize your business to remove you from it.
That's so true, Steve. And I've read the books that the cash flow quadrant, and I'm self-employed right now. I'm working in my business. I'm not working on my business. So it's all those things that tie in together. And just like you said, a business is created to buy real estate for mostly. So it's starting to try and give up control here. It's that difficult period of time to where, yeah, you're making money, and to trust somebody else and to put your faith in other people and spend the time and train them and go through all the experiences that you've pretty much, I've gone through myself dealing, and then to try and go through it all over again and put it into somebody else who, might not be qualified, or they may not pan out, or whatever it may be. It's difficult. So sometimes it's, the easy way would just to be keep trucking along the way that I'm doing, running myself dry, work until, 16-hour days. And,
Well, and the problem with that is, that's motivation, and motivation is a battery, and it drains over time. And eventually it will run you into the ground. It will win, right? The business will beat you down to the ground. You will not beat it. And so, anyone, even, Eddie, anyone, Carolina, anyone who's doing this as a job, you will lose. It's just because that's not the way it's set up to be. We are the problem. Like, we are the monkey wrench in the system. And so, for those of you that want to come to the boot camp with me and Bobby, by the way, I put a thing in the chat for those of you that want to come. If you haven't signed up, I did a special of $99 for the boot camp with me and Bobby. Bobby, I hope that's okay. But I think it's important. Look, you've got it. It's October 16th and 17th, Eddie. And this is again. Let me just tell you something from my experience. Whenever I talk to people, like, you'll see when you come to the event. You talk to me, I'm not talking about real estate. Real estate is 4 walls and a roof. That doesn't mean anything. It's who you have to become on this journey. So if you notice, as I talk, and Eric knows, because Eric's been in the boot camp, and so is Juan, and Bobby's good friends of mine. I'm a big believer in mindset, and you have to become someone different if you want to be successful. Just making more money is not going to make you happy. I don't teach people how to buy real estate. I teach people how to become a successful entrepreneur, because that's the key. That's what's most important, is becoming that person. And, that's the whole reason Bobby and I decided to do this boot camp. And Bobby's just bought, tons and tons of knowledgeable people, of people of expertise. But I just think it's important to learn, because unfortunately there's no rule book. There's no one there to tell us this. And if you don't know, no one's going to tell you. And even if you bought all these properties, Eddie, I'm sure, Eddie, you probably have a very successful business, but if you're not a successful person, having a successful business is different than being a successful person. Does that make sense, guys? And so my job, when I help people, and if you come to the event, you'll learn just by being around me and talking and other people, I'm a successful person because it all starts up here. Like I always tell people, the fish stinks from the head down. If you have a bad business, start at the top and you'll find the problem. Work your way down. You have to become that better person. And, you'll see at the event, the people that I know, the people that I'm connected with, that's not because I'm better than anyone. It's because I understand what it takes to be successful. And it's all about relationships. It's all about partnerships. It's about understanding the mindset of what that is. And, there's no right or wrong, there's no rule book, but there is a recipe, right? And we've all agreed that there is a recipe to do this. That's why I kind of snuck in the 90, do it for $99. If you can't do it for $99 and you don't want to, you should probably get out of real estate. I would be honestly telling you that if you can't commit to something like that, probably not the place for you to be, because if someone can't give it to you on a platter and say, here, learn for 2 days from some of the highest level operators in the country. Ashley Kerr is hosting the Bigger Pockets conference. She's the MC, and then she's coming down to speak at our event. I'm speaking at the Bigger Pockets conference as well. So, again, I think it's all about mindset. It's all about learning. And again, we all struggle with this. You're not alone, but there's no right day to start or stop except for today. Today is the day you make a decision. Am I going to be better than I am yesterday? Sometimes that means pulling out your fucking credit card and signing up for $99 to come hear me and Bobby and everyone else and Eric and everyone speak. That's sometimes it takes a commitment. Is it inconvenient? Yeah. Do you have to get on a plane? Yeah. Big deal. Do it. Do something for yourself to be better. And I guarantee you will leave as a better, more knowledgeable person.
I have a sofa and an extra bed as well. If anyone wants to sleep, I swear, I do. So,
even better. It's all about abundance. This whole thing is abundance. It's all about trying to be better. Look, I don't get up at 2:30 in the morning around the world just because I've got nothing better to do. Right? I do this because I want to help you people and I want to give you guys some knowledge. So if I can do this here, what do you think I could do on stage in Miami for 2 days event with, 15 of some of the top operators in all of the country there for you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if I could say something before we end here, Steve, I just wanted to say thank you from me personally. You and the likes of David Green and Brandon Turner, you guys are teaching us, I've been, Eric knows me for a while now, and I'm learning that it's all about mindset. Mindset is the key to this whole thing here, and I just want to thank you for providing this information to us and kind of leading us upon that. Just like Eddie, I appreciate Eddie as well. Me and him had a conversation earlier today, and he kind of, same thing of what you were saying today earlier, focus on one thing, and I'm trying to really build this as a business and not just a hobby and stuff like that. Like my home in Florida, I'm running it like a business. And every time I say that, I think about you because you say that constantly all the time. This is a business. So, like I said, I wanted to appreciate you for coming on. And just want to say thanks, man, for everything that you're doing.
My pleasure. Are you coming to Florida?
I might not make it this time because I got to close on my property up here. But I promise you I will make it down for the next one. And I definitely want to come down.
All right. Okay.
Right, thank you. Just to add to that, Steve, I think it's, the ability that you have to put an abstract idea like fear and motivation and mindset into very simplistic words and explain what the issues are, and then go immediately into the step-by-step process of solving that. Yeah, that is worth $1 million. So thank you, Steve.
My pleasure, Juan. Thank you, bud.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I was typing. My apologies. So again, I wanted to end it. I know your time is very valuable, Steve. Again,
No, I'm here for you guys, man. Whatever I can do.
Again, I appreciate you for coming on again. Definitely, if you guys cannot come, we hope you can come to the boot camp. Fort Lauderdale is where it's at. Broward County, Miami-Dade, West Palm. It's where it's at. It's where it's happening. This is it. I've lived there all my life, right? I've seen everything grow, and everyone says the market is this, market's that, but if you're buying here, you're definitely buying for appreciation, and that's why I'm in real estate, because I'm only 32, and when I'm 45, I'm gonna be doing whatever the fuck I want, right? So that's my goal. But anyways, definitely come if you can. Steve did go ahead and provide that, guys, for you. So, again, we appreciate you coming on today. And again, Steve, thank you. One more plug, sorry. Yacht on this Thursday, we will be having an awesome meetup that Bobby and I started a couple months ago. We want everyone here that's local there. What do we have already? Probably like 30 people, and it's a little scary.
30 people registered, and we're gonna have happy hour and some networking, some real estate, but it's gonna be about networking and just getting to know each other, talking about deals, talking about if you need contractors, you need partners, you need capital, you need deals, whatever it is, we're gonna be there. So yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing I've learned, and Bobby, you've been in this about as long as me, at the level. Do you ever notice, like, people like you and I, we kind of have the same mindset. We have the same way we operate. We are surrounded by people that are great people that want to learn, or they want to take action. I think it's such a great way to be able to be around people that truly want to be better, because not everyone does. Not everybody does want to be better. They say it, but you guys are doing it. I mean, you guys are spending time here. You're writing notes. You're learning. You're obviously gonna, Eddie's gonna come to Miami. Anyone who comes to Miami, I will give you a free copy of my published book. So I will throw that in if anyone wants to come.
Gotta sign it too, man. I need a signature.
I will sign it. It will be signed. It will be signed. Yes. Yeah, it may cost you a drink, but that will be signed.
It's on me,
but,
man.
Maybe I'm buying you dinner. Okay, so if you make it down here, I'm buying you dinner.
Yeah, it's all about abundance. It really is. And the circles that you're in, you will start seeing the difference of the ones who really want others to be successful. And Bobby and I know, you start running in a circle with people that are good people, and you start getting away from the people that are telling you what you can't do, right? They tell you all the things that could go wrong, to people that say, yeah, that's a good idea, why don't you do it? It could go right. You got just as much chance of it going wrong as you do going right. Try going right, see what it does. And you're going to spend money on stuff anyways, right? This is what, $99. I mean, this is really just to get my Uber ride from the airport to you. Yeah. But I think all of us can use some time away, pressing skin, hanging out face to face. I know personally, when at the Houston boot camp I just did, that was really one of the benefits, was just people out and about at the bars, getting to hang out, and everybody was just loving the fact that we could just be normal. And that meant a lot.
Really, if you have time, could you kind of explain what you guys did at the Houston boot camp?
Sure. So the way we ran the Houston boot camp, which was a little bit different than the Florida one, but what we did was we started off with myself as speaker. I had, who did I have first off? First off was Hard Money Lender. Hard Money Lender started talking, good buddy of mine, Daryl Dyke, all about all the different hard money loans and different things. Then we had some sponsors that spoke about a few, things that they do. And then Matt Trenchard came on, who's a very good friend of mine. He owns a company called Senna House Buyers. And Matt talked about, he does about 10 to 15 deals a month, wholesales and flips, okay? And he's been doing it for a long time. He's a very good friend of mine. But what he talked about, which was the most interesting, is he said, I don't think people really just want to build a flipping or wholesaling company. So that he goes, I don't see any value. He goes, within an hour, I'm not going to teach them that. He said, but what if I could teach them how I negotiate my deals and how I negotiate with sellers to actually buy deals? And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. He's like, so I'm just going to go through what I do, talking about some NLP, some anchor points. When he says this, you say that. And he went through this whole thing talking about how he negotiates deals with sellers. And it was really, really good. I mean, it was just like, whoa. And he just dominated. So after that, we did a lunch. Then we had Sean Wolfswinkel. He came on. He owns a turnkey company. And Sean, no, first it was Joni. So there's Joni and Sean Wolfswinkel. Joni owns a company. She owns 5 companies, Becca. They have a property management company of 1,000 doors in Houston, 500 doors in Albuquerque. They own a plumbing company. They own a virtual assistant placement company, and they own a turnkey company. So what they do in Houston is they go and they build the turnkey operations. They find the properties, they level them, they build them up to spec, exactly to spec, the way that they want them. They get them done. Then they put the tenant in the property. Once it's done, rented, operating, then they hand it over to the management company to sell. And then the management company sells it, and it is quote unquote turnkey for the person who buys it. And it's a brand new house just built. So the builder is the one who built it, so they're responsible for it. All the warranty. The management company put the tenant in, so they're responsible for it. Not their problem. And you don't pay until it's actually rented. And it's all one company. So what's nice about that operation is you can actually see the handoffs are where mistakes happen, right? If I was a company and you were a company and I did the flip and then handed it to you, well, there's he said, she said. This isn't that way. It's like we built it, we warranty it, we put the tenant in it, and now we're managing it. So if anything happens, it's like, that's a you problem. You guys fix it all. This is your deal. And they do. And they do a very, very good job. I'm very impressed with their operation. And they also do some stuff where they do preferred rentals. So management companies, you have properties that the owners want to sell, right? Well, instead of losing that to someone else, they will try to sell it to an already investor client in their database. So we went through that. And then the last half of the day, which was really, really good. We're not gonna be able to do this in Florida this time, but maybe next time, is another guy, Juan Campos, who does all of our rehabs. He went through the rehab, explaining what you should be looking for, looking out for, dealing with contractors, all that. But then we went to one of his properties that he's doing a flip for. So the property was a $300,000 property. It needed about $150,000 in flip money, and it was going to sell for, I think he said, about $600,000. The house was down to the studs, so we had a big bus tour. We got there, and then Juan basically walked through he moved walls, he did this, he did that. Everybody got to experience a house that was basically down to the studs and why he was doing what he was doing, moving walls and getting his perspective. After that, we then jumped back on the bus, and then we went to one of the turnkey operations so that they could actually see the turnkey. And they had two in the same area. One was a duplex and one was a single. So we actually got to see the turnkey operations. The properties were just about finished. They got to see the finished product of the units, and they all look great, no problems. And then the last one, which was really cool, is Matt had a property that he was flipping. He decided to keep it because he got such a good deal out of it, and he was just about to start the rehab. So I came up with the idea of, hey, why don't we have Juan bid out the rehab while we're there, and let's get an idea of what it would take to rehab a property. So we went there with that intention, and then we made it a contest to see everybody try to bid it. And let's see, because Matt already had a bid. He already knew what it was going to cost. So then we had everybody bid it, and highest and lowest and blah, blah, blah. And it was very interesting to see all the different price ranges. And he explained it. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. There's a roof, the AC. Different people from different parts of the country were way off, because there was a guy there from Miami. He was like, in the 100,000 range, and someone from somewhere else was like $20,000 range. So it was really interesting to see. But I mean, you want to talk about hands-on understanding instead of just sitting in a classroom. It was a really, really informative thing. I got to say, it was nice.
It's awesome. Yeah, I saw some Instagram videos and stories, and it looked amazing. I wish I was there, to be honest with you. So,
Yeah,
Steve, I'm sorry, man. We kept you going, and you just keep going, man. You're very, very impressive. You're like the like the MJ flu game. When he's like on the sideline. Yeah, that's you right now, man. And yeah, but you like, I mean, you this is why, you inspire me, and one day I'm hopefully get to be of your statue one time. One day.
Well, good, man. I appreciate it, and like I said, hopefully, it looks like I'm going to meet Eddie. You said you're coming to Florida to the event. Awesome. Juan, are you going to come, man? Are you going to come to one of my events? Come on, man.
Gotta do it. I've got to do it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was tied up in Monterrey for the Houston one, but I got to get out and meet you up there. Definitely.
All right, Chase, you're coming. How about you, Carolina? You're Carolina, you should be there. You're an agent. Are you kidding me? That's like where all they're at.
Yes, I know. I'm in the area, and I cannot make decisions so early in advance because I have right now 35 listings. Plus, I sell land in the entire state, so I'm always like going from here to Ocala, different areas on the $5 million land, and I have from 5,000 to 5 million. And then with the houses, I'm in the area, so that's what I'm still thinking. Like, if I'm going to be there, I'll be there. If I have to pay more,
It's a simple decision.
I know, but having
Yes
so
or
many
no?
listings, I have so much to do. I cannot plan. I cannot even plan my dentist appointment.
Well, that's another conversation.
I know.
It's a yes or no.
I'll do my best.
That's a no.
No, it's not a no. If I am here in the area, I'll be there.
Okay. All right. Let me know. I'll make sure we can hook you up. All right.
Well, hopefully I get to see everyone here. Ricardo, I'm assuming you are coming down. I don't care if you got a closing. Everybody always has a reason why. I know, you know, it's funny. You know, it's funny real quick. I always think it's, and I'll go because I know I probably over my time, is I always hear people tell me why they can't do something, but how often do you actually hear someone tell you why they can? Pretty rare, right? I'll ask you, can you do this? Like, no, I can't because of this, because of this, because of this. And I get it. Everyone has life going on, business, and I get it. But I'm like, someone tell me why they could. Tell me why you could go. And then you don't hear it as much. I'm like, just interesting that we always go off of what we can't do. You can, you just choose not to, right? That's what it is. Like, it's something else is more important, and that's fine. I mean, we all have important things in life. I get it. Don't say you can't, just say you choose not to. That's the better answer, I think.
And Stephen, and that's what I love about you, because I appreciate that you are so true. I choose not to. You're right. You are completely correct. So I agree with you on that, 100%.
Yeah. And look, we all have things in life, and me and Bobby are not the prettiest people on the planet, and maybe we're not the guys you want to hang out with all weekend.
But we have some pretty people coming there.
We have some pretty people, though. That's a good point. We do have some pretty good looking ones coming. That's true. Yeah, not counting Eric.
Not counting Eric, but
yeah. But no, honestly, guys, I do appreciate this so much, and I think we're all very similar, right? We're all hard chargers. We all like it. I think normally everyone gets together. It's always a great time. Let's go have a good time. Let's have a good time. Let's meet up. Let's have some cocktails. Let's talk, and just enjoy what we have. It's part of the journey. I've learned a long time ago. It's not the destination. It's the journey, and you got to enjoy the journey. And this is the journey, and you don't want to sit on the sidelines and watch the journey go by your whole life, And so these are the days you get to enjoy it. You get to meet people, and you never know where it goes. One relationship could mean something huge for you down the road. So, I've invested probably, I would say, if I had to guess, $500,000 in my coaching and self-development over the last 20 years. I'm a big believer in it. It's made me a multimillionaire, so I would say it's paid off, but you got to believe in it before you do it. It doesn't just happen by accident. I mean, anyone ever heard of a guy named Marshall Silver before? Bobby has. Yeah. So Marshall Silver is a good friend of mine. I paid $50,000 to spend 3 days with him one time. You want to talk? And I went in there and I got a notebook. That's it. A blank notebook. And I left with a blank, not blank. I had some pages in the notebook, and that was it. Yeah.
But no. what you got out of that 50,000 and the networking and the knowledge and you can't put a price on it, because it's going to pay you for the rest of your life. And then the only other thing I wanted to point out is, look, I was fortunate that 10 years ago, maybe coming up on 11 years, I decided that I needed to surround myself with people that were smarter than me. I was relatively new to real estate, and there was no bigger pockets or all these tools we have now. And so I started networking at other people's meetups, and then my own. Luckily I started my own, but I would go to other people's meetups too, because every time I went there, I found a deal, I found a partner, I found money, I found a house. It was all about, doing networking. And I always tell the story of, some of the folks that I met at my meetup, at other people's meetups. There's a gentleman. He's relatively he's about 20 years, maybe 17 years younger than me. But I met him 7.5 years ago. To this day, I'm doing deals with him. Even today, I'm doing deals with him. And it was because we went, we hung out, we grabbed a beer, we talked, we exchanged business cards. But that's how it happens. Look, you work in your business, and then you got to work on your business. And but networking to me is critical. But yeah, motivation is important. Listening to podcasts is important. But at the end of the day, you got to go. Like Steve said, you got to fresh the press, shake hands and meet people, and just get to know them, look them in the eye, and see them. So
yeah, very much.
I'm looking forward to meeting Bobby for the first time. Like, I feel like I've known Bobby. I was thinking, I was like, oh, I get to see Bobby again, but I'm like, I never met Bobby in person. But
Eddie,
such
you're
a good
good
spirit.
man. You keep it. I know, man. Baltimore, it's going to happen. It's going to be big for you. So let's empower you. Let's get you some partners. Let's get you something going there. It's a great cash flow, and I know the market better than anybody else. So let's get something going over there for you.
Steven, I tried to get Bobby in on a deal, on an apartment complex deal. He said, I'm not touching Baltimore. He said, I'm not touching it. So he's like, the numbers look great. Everything is all the green light. I love the presentation, but Baltimore, I was like, man.
You know what? Okay, I'll tell you what ruined it for me for Baltimore was The Wire. Okay.
That's what I thought of when he said that. I was like, where that is by Amsterdam.
No, hey, listen, there's some nice parts of Baltimore. It's not all, there's some beautiful areas. And I know there's a lot of investment happening there. So, and I know which pockets to work in. I got it, brother. But we'll make something happen.
Cool. Looking forward to meeting you, Steven, and you too, Eric. Man, I appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you for having this, my brother. Sure. Doing great work.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you. And again, thanks to everyone for listening, and hopefully, like I said, my goal is that you walk out of here thinking a little bit differently. Maybe you'll do one thing different tomorrow, or you'll at least think before you do it. And that's really all it is, right? We are the sum of our parts. I'm a big believer in the compound effect, and it's the little things you do every day that make up the big things. And if you keep doing the little things, either do them wrong or do them right, it will change your destiny. And sometimes you just got to bring light on it. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, Steve, get some NyQuil, get some rest.
Yeah. You gotta get some rest. Get some rest. Again, I appreciate you staying this long, and get some rest, man.
My pleasure. All right, guys. Well, thank you
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks,
Steve.
Thank you, everyone. Nice seeing you, everyone. Thank you.
Yep.
Juan, are you coming to Florida?
JC.
You know what? You just made that talk got all the way up to my heart. So I'm gonna make my best effort, and that's sincere. Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
All I
Juan.
can ask, brother.
Let's make
All
it
right.
happen,
Thank you,
brother.
Bobby. Thank you,
All right.
Eric. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Rick, nice
Guys,
seeing
see
you.
ya.
Caroline,
Thank
Eddie.
Take care.
Chase.